cheesecake cupcake. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't love cheesecake. At least not when it's just all the cheesecake and there's a little bit of graham cracker. I much prefer my cakes, my cupcakes, my cookies. But I do love the tanginess of a cheesecake and that flavor that you get. So I'm adding a little bit of that flavor inside a dark chocolate cupcake. We've got an Oreo crust at the bottom. It's no bake, so this makes it really simple to make your crust, put it at the bottom of your cupcake tin, and then put your batter on top. Then we're gonna make this cheesecake filling that bakes for just a little bit. You'll cool it. That's actually a good one to make ahead of time because you'll want it to sit in the fridge to cool before you actually add it into the cupcake. And then this fudgy chocolate frosting. Oh my gosh, you guys are going to die. It is so fudgy. It is so delicious. It's brand new. You're gonna love it. So let's get started. In a blender or food processor, go ahead and add 25 Oreos with the cream still in them, and then 4 tablespoons of melted butter and a little bit of salt. Go ahead and pulse and mix this so we get some fine crumbs developed and everything kind of feels moist. And then we know the butter has gone all over the Oreos. And once everything's added, go ahead and pulse until you've got a fine crumb that's moist from all that butter. And we're gonna be ready to add it to our cupcake liners. For my cupcakes, I'm using these cute My Mind's Eye baking cups. You don't have to put them into a cupcake holder at all. They just go right onto a baking sheet. I like that they're a little bit taller than some of the cupcake liners, but use cupcake liners, and a cupcake pan totally works as well. We're looking at about 20 to 24 cupcakes, just depending on the size of your cupcake liner or your cupcake cup. And first thing we're gonna do before we start making our batter and everything else is we're just gonna take our Oreo crust, and I put about 2 tablespoons of our crust in each one of my cups. And then we're gonna press these down to make like a nice firm crust at the bottom. On my baking tray, I have 15 cups, and you wanna space them out so they're not touching. So I still have some more, and I think I could probably get another 6 or 7 cupcakes out of that. So I'm gonna do those next, but I've got these here, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and use my fingers. You could use like the back of a spoon and just firmly press the crust into place, and then we can do our cake batter. Another option, if you don't want to use your fingers or a spoon, if you have a kind of a skinnier glass, use the bottom of your glass and just pack that right in. Less messy and a little quicker. Once the crust is packed into your cupcake liners, go ahead and move it to the side and then grab everything you're gonna need for the cake. For the cupcakes, we're using my dark chocolate cake. This is rich and decadent, very moist. It's gonna be so yummy in this cake with that Oreo crust and then the tanginess of the filling. So on this one, I'm just gonna use a hand mixer. I love how easy this cake recipe is to make. We're putting all of our dry ingredients in together, so that includes the flour, the sugar, a dark cocoa powder, and then I've got my baking powder, my baking soda, and my salt. We'll just whisk these together. Move that to the side for a minute, and then we're just gonna put all our wet ingredients in one bowl. So I've got my buttermilk, remember, room temperature. I've got 3 eggs, also room temperature. Some oil, a little vanilla, and 1 cup of hot water. This just adds a little extra moisture. Go ahead and whisk those together. All right, now it's as simple as pouring your wet ingredients into your dry ingredients, but remember, low speed. Mix until the dry ingredients are just incorporated in the wet ingredients, and then just scrape down the sides and the bottom of the bowl and mix one more time for about 20 seconds is all you need. Once the cake batter is done, we're gonna put it into our cupcake cups or liners. Now remember, when you're filling these, you don't wanna go more than 2/3 of the way full. Otherwise, it's gonna go right over the edge will have a big mess on your pan. So 2/3 of the way full is perfect. And I love using a cookie scoop to add my batter. It makes it super easy and a little less messy. So this is about a 2-inch wide cookie scoop. And I'm just gonna pour that right on top of that Oreo crust. Fill that up there. I think I need a little bit more. There we go. All right, and if you can see right into that, you see it's got some room to go ahead and rise when it's baking. These cupcakes are gonna bake at 325 for about 30 to 35 minutes. Remember, when you put the toothpick in the center, it should come out with a few moist crumbs on it. While the cupcake's cool, we're gonna make this cheesecake filling. And this is gonna just go in a 8x8 or 9x9 little pan. I've sprayed it with nonstick spray. To start, we've got our cream cheese, softened a little bit, just sitting out at room temperature. And then we have some sugar. And we're gonna blend these together. And the goal is to beat it long enough that you don't feel the sugar granules if you were to touch the mixture. With the cream cheese and the sugar mixed, I'm just going to quickly whisk 1 whole egg and 1 yolk. I'm gonna add just a tablespoon of milk here. And then we've got some cornstarch we're adding. And this is gonna be a thickening agent that's gonna help this cheesecake kind of like mixture filling that we're doing set and thicken up a little bit. Then this goes into this. After the egg mixture is added to your cream cheese mixture, it's gonna go into your 8x8 pan and it's going into the oven at 325 for about 20 to 25 minutes. What you're looking for is that it looks kind of set around the edges, but it can still be a little jiggly in the center. All right, next up is this fudgy chocolate frosting. We've got some butter, a little bit of powdered sugar. You'll notice that's a big difference from my normal recipes. We have some melted chocolate. I like bittersweet. You can use semi-sweet. I wouldn't use milk because you're not gonna get as fudgy of a flavor. We have a little bit of vanilla, and then secret ingredient is actually corn syrup. So there's 3/4 cup corn syrup, and we have cocoa powder. So lots of chocolate. It's gonna be delicious and still like this great fluffy texture, but so rich and decadent. So we're gonna start with our butter like we normally do, and just go ahead and beat that for a couple minutes on its own. After you beat the butter for a couple minutes, get a little fluffy and softer in texture, we're gonna add our melted but slightly cooled chocolate, and we're gonna have the mixer on while we do this. After it mixes for about 30 seconds, stop it and scrape down the sides and the bottom of the bowl. This is gonna help prevent any chunks of chocolate getting cold and hardening up so we don't have any lumps of chocolate. So make sure you scrape any of the chocolate that you poured in from the top of the bowl, and we get that mixed with the butter really well. Your mixer on low, go ahead and add your powdered sugar gradually and your cocoa powder. Then we're gonna add our vanilla and our corn syrup. And a pinch of salt. So everything is in there. I'm gonna scrape the sides of the bowl one more time, and then we're gonna turn the mixer up to medium-high, which is about a 6 on your KitchenAid if you're using one. And we're gonna let this beat for a good 3 to 5 minutes. Look at that frosting. Oh, you guys, to die for. Smells heavenly. All right, we're gonna put it into our piping bag with a Wilton 1M tip. Fold over your piping bag so it just falls over your hand. And we're gonna just spoon all of this in, or as much as we can. You never wanna overfill your piping bag. So think 2/3 full and you're good to go. After your cheesecake filling is baked, make sure you cool it completely, and then you're gonna add your chocolate chips and just fold them in. Cupcakes are cooled. We've got our chocolate frosting and our filling, which I also put in a piping bag. So that's ready to go. Now we need to just make a little circle cutout, and there's a few ways you can do this. If you have a knife, great, just go ahead and cut a little circle out from the center. Eat it. Amazing. And then we're gonna fill. Just until you get to the top. And now our piping. So I'm gonna just do some swirl on the top, give it a little base, go around, and then keep your piping bag nice and straight and lift it up and pull away quickly. And don't you love how clean the cupcake holder is, rather than using a cupcake liner that sometimes absorbs all the moisture in the liquid? So clean and pretty. All right, another option, if you have any kind of piping tip, you can actually use this as a little cutout. So you've got a metal one. I have this other one that is just longer, and we can push it down, take a little bit out, fill. Don't be shy with the filling. And then pipe. Now, if you're gonna add an Oreo to the top, you don't need quite as much buttercream because it's gonna push it down a little bit. So we'll just do our swirl and just go about one time up, a little smaller, and then we can push that Oreo into place. See how it kind of poofs out a little bit? So a couple options, or after you do your filling, if you don't like a lot of buttercream frosting up there, then we'll just do a simple rosette. So just one simple swirl. And then on that one, it might be cute to do some Oreo crumbs instead of the full Oreo. Kind of like sprinkles. Now, I bet you're wondering, how do you eat this? Because with a cupcake, you just pull that liner down and you bite in. You can peel this off, or you can also use a fork. Make sure you dig into the bottom, get that Oreo crust along with the filling, get all this rich chocolate flavor, and enjoy. Oh my heaven.